Good morning, friends. Happy MPA Monday. Beautiful day here in Morro Bay. Got some patchy clouds. In the distance, yet the sun is shining right where we are. Tide is super low right now. Beautiful hills in the distance. Some low-lying clouds. But right where we are, it's nice and sunny. Nice little slight breeze. Good morning, Robert. Got an egret flying in the distance. Beautiful day out here. Good morning, Debbie. Good morning, Diane. Wish it was sunny in San Simeon. So funny, along the coast here you'll have sunny patches and foggy patches. You can see, actually it looks a bit sunny in Los Osos today. Along the mountains though, it is pretty cloudy. So good morning everyone, welcome. My name is Robin. I'm a state park interpreter for California State Parks. And we are here yet again for another MPA Monday, celebrating the marine protected areas on the beautiful Central California coast. So I'm here in the San Luis Obispo Coast District, which runs anywhere from Montana de Oro State Park in the south to up past Hearst Castle, almost to Big Sur. And we've got quite a few marine protected areas in our district here. We're walking right now along the Marina Peninsula Trail in Morro Bay, California, which is a part of Morro Bay State Park. And we actually have two marine protected areas here. The one we have directly out in front of us, this is known as the State Marine Reserve, or SMR for short. And you can kind of think of these different marine protected areas, or MPAs, like different flavors. So an SMR, or a State Marine Reserve, just means there's no take of any kind. No take of shells, animals, cultural artifacts, anything whatsoever. So that just allows for this particular ecosystem to thrive. And this ecosystem right here is extremely important. So you can see that we've got, looking inland, we've got all these beautiful hills, and we actually have a creek you can see just right here. Good morning. We've got a creek that you might be able to see right there, that divot. That is a creek that runs into the waters of Morro Bay, and that's just one of two different creeks that run into Morro Bay. And what that means is that we have fresh water from inland creeks and streams meeting the salty sea. And what that forms is an estuary. So right here we have Morro Bay's estuary, and this is actually a national estuary, meaning it's protected, and it's an extremely beneficial place here for the animals that live within this ecosystem. So estuaries are one of the most productive ecosystems in the world, and so to be able to have it protected with another layer with that MPA allows for all of these coastal resources, all of these animals. I'm not sure if you can hear all the birds in the distance and see all these birds swooping in front of the camera. But there's lots of wildlife out here, so to be able to have several layers of protection allows for their survival. So again, this is called the State Marine Reserve. We've got 2 creeks. This one right here, I believe, and feel free to correct me, anybody, if you know, I believe this one is Churro Creek, and the one just to the south of it is Osos. So these 2 creeks come into Morro Bay's water, forming what's known as brackish water. This brackish water is just a mixture of salty and fresh water. And it actually is extremely nutrient rich. And that's what makes this estuary one of the most productive ecosystems in the world. You can kind of think of it like a nursery. So lots of mother animals love to come to this area to raise their young. Not only is it protected, but there's lots of nutrients and food available. Good morning, Bernice. Good morning. Good morning, Kathy. You can see some sunny patches in the distance. So what we're walking along here, this is the Marina Peninsula Trail. And you can see we've got a boardwalk here. Good morning, Nancy. Good morning, Stu. Oh, I don't know if you can see all these birds just diving in front of us. So there's a lot of different types of habitats within this estuary. If any of you have ever been here or visited an estuary, we have what's known as a salt marsh, which you can see out in the distance, and only certain plants are able to actually grow in this salt marsh. These plants are known as halophytes, and halophytes are essentially just plants that can grow within salt water, which is pretty cool. One of them is pickle weed, which I will try to find some for you. Zoom in so you can see it. But pickleweed, it is actually edible. It actually kind of tastes maybe like a pickled cucumber. But these salt marshes are great for several different animals. You can think of those long-billed, long-legged, wading birds. They like to hang out in the salt marsh, dive their beaks into the vegetation, and grab all the yummy snacks within it. Beautiful day today. I don't know if you can see, but we've got this perfect blue sky just above us, sun peeking through. Our hills stretching east. For those of you familiar with the area, good morning. For those of you familiar with the area, we've got the hills furthest one west that we can see is Morro Rock. And these are actually volcanic plugs. So you can see they stretch all the way east. Some of them are enshrouded in clouds. There's one right there just behind, which is actually really jagged and impressive looking, but you can't see it because it's covered with clouds. But these will actually stretch all the way east to the town of San Luis Obispo, about 12 miles east. And as we continue our walk, you'll see Morro Rock, which is the furthest one west that we can see. There's most likely some below the ocean, below the surface of the water, that we can't see. But these were actually formed by a little tiny air vent within a volcano. So Morro Rock, for instance, was a volcano 26 million years ago. And a little tiny air vent formed within that volcano, solidifying the molten lava and magma, hardening it. It solidified it so much it hardened it and actually plugged up the volcano. And that's why it's called a volcanic plug. You can kind of think of it like an earth pimple. See that nice sunny patch in the distance. Those lazy clouds on the mountains. Good morning. To see too much color on the screen. It looks a little bit dark on the screen. There's actually quite a bit of green still on the hills. Obviously in the salt marsh here it's pretty green. Just soaking up that green while we've got it. Won't last for too much longer. Many of the hills within the county here are already turning pretty yellow. Typical California, very short spring. Many people I know across the nation, across the world, haven't even really dived into spring too much, and we're already ending our green spurt. Some wildflowers. See the boats on the other side of the peninsula. This is the little marina, state park marina we have here. Trails like these are so neat because we're actually elevated above. I don't know if you can see that. We're elevated above the salt marsh and the chaparral here. So typically we never really would be able to experience much of this. But to be able to have this elevated boardwalk allows us to enjoy the sights and smells. Got a little cutoff here. It goes towards the trailhead. Got some neat interpretive panels here. This is the pickle weed I was telling you about. This is a tactile sign, so you can actually touch things here, making it nice and accessible. We've got our long-billed curlew. Curlews are probably one of the easiest birds to identify as far as wading and shorebirds go, because they kind of have a curl to their long bill. We've got a marbled godwit, a slightly upturned bill. Alkali heath. Willets have the straight bill, much shorter than both the curlew and the godwit. We've got some sea lavender, savanna sparrows, which you'll often see on the tops of different vegetation here, the coyote bush and whatnot. You'll see these savanna sparrows. Saltgrass, like I mentioned earlier, within that salt marsh. Black phoebes are always fun to watch. These are little insectivores, so they like to eat little bugs and stuff. And they can turn on a dime, so you'll see them find a little perch. We might be able to see one today, because you also often find them on a little perch, something like this post here. You might find them right here, scope it out for some bugs. They'll swoop down, pick up a bug, and on a dime, just quickly turn around. Really impressive to watch. Those are cute little black phoebes. Good morning, Mariana. It is a beautiful morning in Morro Bay. Some patchy skies. The sky is so beautiful right now. So much more exciting when you have not just blue sky, in my personal opinion. Blue sky is gorgeous, but when you have these impressive clouds, you can see the sand spit in the distance. Nice temperature out right now. We're at a pretty low tide, so as we get closer to this cypress tree that you see in the distance, you're going to notice that the water's pretty distant from us. Which is pretty cool, because it leads to another habitat that we have here within this estuary, which is mudflats. So we talked about salt marshes and the halophytes that live within that salt marsh, those plants that thrive off of salt water. But mudflats are a completely different experience. And it doesn't really look very exciting when you initially look at them. It kind of looks otherworldly. Just have a mud landscape with some little divots and some small holes, little mounds. But the exciting stuff is actually happening underneath the mud. Underneath the surface of the mud, there's all kinds of life. Those holes are actually formed by several different animals, mostly invertebrates. Invertebrates are animals without a spine. So unlike us as humans, we have spines. We're vertebrates. Whereas things like snails, crabs, clams, they don't have spines. They're known as invertebrates. And this is often what shorebirds, like the curlew, the godwit, and the willet that we mentioned earlier, this is mostly what these animals are going after to eat. So with those long bills, they can reach down into those holes, formed by the invertebrates. These homes of the invertebrates really, and grab their snack. Got some of that coastal sage here, my absolute favorite. Just envision a nice citrusy, herbal, minty smell. So refreshing. Surprisingly, it's not a sage, it's just called coastal sage. An absolutely delightful smell. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
See that sand spit stretching all the way to the south, forming a little inlet right there at the end. This is what's known as Shark Inlet. We've got a beautiful egret flying. This sand spit has a pretty cool purpose. It actually helps to protect Morro Bay's waters. Good morning. So it stretches all the way from the south, almost all the way to Morro Rock, which you can now see. It's actually a little channel that is formed between the rock and the sand spit. And as most of you know, the ocean can get pretty wild and crazy. Big waves, big winds, strong ocean current. But as you can see, this water here, which we'll walk up to shortly, it is definitely not wild and crazy. And that's because of mostly that sand spit. It helps to protect the waters here from weather, wind, big waves, which makes it absolutely ideal for wildlife. And like I mentioned earlier, this estuary here, it's very much like a nursery. And so having these calm waters here makes it ideal for mother animals to come here to raise their young. They have calm, protected waters, lots of nutrients in this brackish water. Again, that brackish water is just a mixture of both salty and fresh water. So we have this sand spit here to help protect Morro Bay's waters from weather, wild winds, big waves. And we also have these marine protected areas here as well. So lots of levels of protection in this beautiful space. Now you can see the water will often go way up past my boots even. You can see the water comes up pretty high, but the water is extremely far away from us. We've got little puddles in the distance. And this is that mud flat I was telling you guys about. Kind of looks like an otherworldly landscape. Looks almost dead, like there's not much going on here. When in reality, there's lots of life going on. in this habitat. You can see one of the holes right here that I was mentioning. And there's several of these dotted all over. They're all slightly different. Some of them are mounds, some of them are divots. So it just depends on the animal that's claimed that real estate. So all of the life is within the mud here. Give you guys some orientation. We've got the sand spit running along here. We've got a channel in between the sand spit and the rock. You can see the 3 stacks in the distance. That's within the town of Morro Bay. You can see some boats possibly within the harbor there. We've got our Morro Bay Natural History Museum, which is still closed, just there on White Point. And then this bit of water traveling east goes towards the State Park Marina, which is where we started our hike today. One last little scan of this beautiful landscape. So peaceful out today. Got a foghorn in the distance. And maybe a boat going by, but that's about the only sound I can hear. Some birds, of course, in the distance. So much for joining me today on this beautiful hike of the Marina Peninsula Trail right here in Morro Bay, California, within Morro Bay State Park. Again, my name is Robin. You can find me here almost every Monday, either on this Facebook page, Morro Bay State Parks, or our sister page, San Simeon State Park. Exploring some part of our district. We've got a lot of beautiful sights to see here. So if anybody has any recommendations or would like to see a certain place, feel free to comment down below letting us know where to see, what you'd like to see, where you'd like to visit. And for those of you who have friends and family who don't use Facebook but are interested in watching these and visiting different areas within the San Luis Obispo Coast District, definitely check out the YouTube page we have at San Luis Obispo Coast District, because we'll be sharing there as well. I'm hoping everyone has a beautiful day. Make sure to take care of yourselves. I'll go ahead and share a smile. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope to see you next week. Take care. Bye, everyone.